Welcome to High Heels in the High Country. I'm Rob Cope-Williams. For 12 weeks we looked at some of the rural women who are doing amazing things in this amazing land, and one of them is Juliet McLean, who certainly has shaken up the Canterbury dairy scene. As a director of Synlait Farms, Juliet is one of the leading figures in dairying in the rural sector. As a successful woman in an industry once dominated by men, she's made it her mission to encourage and enable other women to follow in her footsteps.
For me personally, obviously I have a keen interest in being able to offer women the opportunity to develop their careers in farming. My parents never differentiated by gender, and so I have two younger sisters, and we were always brought up to believe that we could do anything, and if that was being involved in agriculture, then there was no differentiation between whether we were sons or daughters, and therefore I don't see there any barriers to women being involved in farming. I think it's a fantastic career for women, and certainly do everything I can to encourage, both at the education level but also at the post-school or university level, women really not seeing being involved in agriculture as too hard or not what is available to them, but just the huge range of opportunities that are there for women to be involved. So that's really important to me as well.
There's a tendency, Juliet, for women to do the sort of the paperwork and to help, and the male does the pasture and the checking and the animals. That's a misconception.
Ultimately I think that women can do anything when it comes to farming, and in the past I think some of the barriers have been established purely because of a perception that farming is physical and that might make it difficult for women. We're really fortunate now because we've got technology that is well and truly able to overcome any of the physical barriers to doing the job. I think a little biased it may be, but I think women are great with livestock, and I think in a lot of cases have a better stock sense than some men do, and they tend to be great at the detail and have really astute empathy when it comes to livestock and people. And yes, there's some fantastic partnerships that have developed between men and women in farming, but there's also some very successful outcomes that have been seen over time with just women involved in agriculture in their own right. And so how a couple choose to split the responsibilities is up to them, but I think that women can take any part of the farming role that they choose to if that's what they set their mind to.
And women are setting their minds to take on any and all the roles in the rural sector previously dominated by men. Whether it's rural vets or stock and station agents, women are stepping up into the roles once occupied by their fathers and brothers. It's a development that Juliet finds encouraging.
To me, that demonstrates a couple of things. It says that the agricultural community as a whole has changed their perception of where women fit in the industry, and are now just much more open to women fitting in any part of the continuum of agricultural roles, and I think that's fantastic. And I think that women also are putting themselves forward more to be involved in a range of roles. The outcome is what we're after, and I think the outcome is great because what you're seeing is just a whole lot more involvement, which I think gives a lot more balance to the industry, and that's what we're after at the end of the day.
20 years ago they would have been feminists. Now it's the women. Is that true?
Oh, I think that's a really good point. In general, other than perhaps some very conservative areas and some more conservative people, I believe that people are treated just the same, and there's no stigma attached with a woman being really, really deeply involved with an agricultural business, which, maybe was a little bit what it was like in the past.
Tucked away beyond a small town called Rotherham is this unique business. Thousands and thousands of flowers plastering this backyard. Meet Marina Shearer, the owner of Rodo Direct. She wanted to do something with her husband, who works here, their 1,500 hectare sheep and beef farm with his dad.
So there wasn't really a place for me on the farm, and I was actually quite relieved about that.
But after 15 years of marriage, was gardening the answer?
When we got married, we had this pact that we made with each other that there would be no garden, and we were both really excited about that. But there was something about moving into the little cottage on our farm that just screamed Buxus, iceberg roses, and from there, the rest is history.
That history filling 60 hectares with 50 different types of rhododendrons in every colour of the rainbow.
After 15 years of doing this, the nursery has expanded beyond our comprehension.
A job that keeps the couple busy, especially heading into the summer season.
Over spring, it's dawn till dusk every day. We can have up to 100 people here a day over spring. It's flat out. By the time Christmas comes, we're quite relieved. It's a bit of a rest, a bit of a relax. And then once we're into autumn, we're getting ready for sending roadies all over New Zealand. We're sending plants out every day of the week. We have Saturdays off, but apart from that, there's orders coming in all the time.
But how did it get so big? So this is where it all began, is it?
Yeah, 15 years ago, this was Rodo Direct. We built this area first and we're selling out of here. We expanded into this ginormous rectangle here, and the car park was right down the end. Totally outgrown this area now. This is our growing on area and our cuttings area. So most of these rhododendrons are sitting here because they're precious to us, and we take cutting material. Our baby plants go in there, and there's another store area at the back.
And from here they built this shade, but quickly outgrew that as well.
About 5 years ago, we decided that we needed a bigger structure. So my husband and his father got together and built that, basically to protect the roadies from the sun and the heat of summer, which is very hot here. And then from the snow. Roadies are actually really resilient to snow, but we thought that we needed to have somewhere where we could put a lot of plants and protect them from really heavy extreme snowfall. So we built that expecting that that was going to be our expansion, but then the rest of the nursery has kind of grown since then, and these big plants are, some of them are a metre and a half wide now, so they take quite a lot of room up.
I should mention these are all organised in different colours and in no particular order. It's part of the psychology of gardening, something Marina knows all about. She has a degree from the University of Canterbury in psychology.
And it's really interesting, like watching the psychology of gardening when you see people coming here and they're either definitely one way or definitely the other. So half the customers are wandering around in the cottage garden, loving the fact that it's all really random over there, and half the people are over here and they don't even want to go over there because that just doesn't appeal, and those people over there don't like this. So it's a great thing to have two completely kind of different styles for people.
She also shares her words of wisdom at speaking engagements around New Zealand.
I've been speaking at Ellerslie over the last few years in the Hawk Galore marquee, just sharing with people my ideas about gardening with soul, gardening with passion, and just having the kind of garden that really pleases you.
With their backyard already packed to the brim with rhododendrons, it's hard to imagine where their business will expand to next.
Well, there certainly are some very, very clever women, including Bev Forrester, who's taking what she was producing on her farm into the international fashion scene.
A 250-acre and fourth-generation sheep and beef cattle farm. Black Hills is unique in the way it captures the essence of the property's history. The pioneer cottage and stables have all been restored. Meet Beverly Forrester, the lady behind this hidden gem.
Well, this is the cottage where Jim's great-grandmother, she was born in here on the 10th of May 1892.
Beverly's husband Jim is the fourth generation of the family, who arrived from Kilsyth in Scotland. After he passed away in 1997, Beverley's taken over the reins of looking after the property.
But the buildings were actually all from up on the hill here, the limestone, and that was rolled down and it was bullocked across the creek.
The cottage took almost 9 years to restore and is still an ongoing project. It's filled with historical gems. From these old clothes to what their ancestors carried with them when they first arrived in New Zealand.
Jim's great-grandfather, he arrived out from Kilsyth. It took 3 months to come out by ship, and he arrived at Lyttelton on the 24th of November 1864 and climbed over the hill like many of those folk did in those days. And these putties here are actually the ones in the photograph here. But he arrived with this carpet bag.
And hidden in the cottage is the crafts of the old days. So what have we got in here?
So this is the sewing machine that was used by the Robert Forrester, his wife Louisa, from 1876, and she sewed all the clothing and everything, you know, for the family using this. And then it was used by her daughter Nellie, and then she made good use of it, and the granddaughter May. So in the 1900s, that machine, from Hiranui School, 1900, this was the sampler that was actually made on that machine.
But Black Hills isn't all about the historical value of the property. It's the means for running Beverley's business. This was her entry at the 2013 New Zealand Fashion Week. Each item in the Riverina brand made of wool, which comes courtesy of these guys. These are the sheep you use for all your wool and things like that, aren't they?
All these sheep are natural coloured, they are chemical free, free range, and the wool is all undyed. There's no chemicals in the scouring or anything, so to produce the yarn, which we then go on to produce the garments.
Each of these Corriedale and Romney sheep, an example of Beverley's passion and genetics. She breeds the sheep to create a wide range of colours in the wool, which makes her a force to be reckoned with, even at the local AMP shows. Won lots of awards, I see.
Oh yes, I was a bit fortunate that day.
A humble answer. Beverley's taken out runner-up in the New Zealand Enterprising Rural Women Award, winner of the Continental Niche Marketing Award and Business Network Award at the New Zealand Businesswoman of the Year.
It's always just, you know, to get them, there's that's the major thing, and I always think if you get a prize, it's a bonus.
This property proves, despite the loss of loved ones, family can survive for generations, with success in business along the way.
What was the motivation to get into politics?
Yeah, you would wonder, wouldn't you? I think it was, as a lawyer, I didn't quite like some of the laws, and they were just badly drafted and we had to apply them. But what really got me into politics, to be honest, was the Labour government, and I didn't like them. Steve Mahari wanted to put a prison in Mandeville, a youth prison, and
Which is where you lived.
Which is where I lived, yeah. So we got together with the community, and I just loved working with the community, helping the community, and I loved the intrigue of politics and how you can use politics for outcomes, for good outcomes, and we won that battle. And then I thought, oh, this is quite fun, so I threw my hat in the ring.
Kate was selected as Nationals candidate for the Waimakariri electorate, though Labour's Clayton Cosgrove retained the seat in the 2005 general election. She entered Parliament as a list MP. After the 2008 general election, she was again returned as a list MP and was appointed Minister of Labour and Minister for Food Safety in November 2008. In her third straight contest against Cosgrove in the 2011 election, Kate won by 642 votes and became the MP for Waimakariri. She resigned her portfolio as Minister of Labour on the 5th of November 2012. That was following the publication of the Royal Commission of Inquiry's report into the 2010 Pike River mine disaster. It stated that there were major flaws in the Department of Labour, In a statement, Prime Minister John Key said Ms Wilkinson's decision to resign is a personal decision in response to the magnitude of the tragedy. It is the honourable thing to do. In a cabinet reshuffle in January 2013, Kate lost her remaining portfolios. She announced her decision to retire from Parliament in November 2013.
Can be brutal. I say the highs are higher than you experience anywhere else, but the lows are certainly lower. I suppose you're always in the public eye. It's pretty unforgiving, but it's certainly unforgettable. I don't regret it. I've done 9 years now. It's a fantastic journey. I just loved it, but I'm ready for the next bucket list and the next journey.
Despite growing up on the farm, Kate was quick to admit that she has a lot to learn and will be relying on the experience of her farm manager to equip her for the challenges ahead.
I didn't study agriculture, so I'm very ignorant of a lot of things. So Mike's been here for 19 years now, so he's our farm manager. So and he knows all the quirks and qualms that Dad used to like as well. So I'm learning a lot. He says it's like teaching a 16-year-old because I suppose I'm sort of just soaking it all up.
Asking lots of questions.
Yeah, absolutely. But I can't quite concentrate fully on this until I finish my other job on the 19th or 20th of September.
You're hands-on. I mean, you're combine harvester driving and working in sheep yards. You're hands-on.
I am, yeah. No, I was driving the header till sort of 10 o'clock at night this season, and I love doing the tractor work. I go out and feed the deer. I do I'm not as strong as the boys are, so I do other things that everything still has to be done. But I've got to learn a bit of fencing. I have to do that, and I've got a lot of skills I have to learn.
You got some plans in your mind that you'd like to change? Because I mean, every tree on this property has been planted by a family member.
Yeah, it has, and actually Mother Nature took a few down this year as well. So they have to be replanted, and so there's huge scope and opportunity to change things around a bit. We'll look at doing perhaps different crops, perhaps a bit more lucerne, who knows, but at the end of the day it's a dry farm. I'm not going to do dairying though. I don't like cows. I think they're great for the economy. I don't like cows though, and you've got to deal with animals that you like, and I like sheep.
Because you've got about 3,000 sheep. 3,000
ewes, yeah, and about 350 deer. I'm not so sure about the deer yet because I'm a bit nervous of them, especially the stags, but you go out and feed them barley and they almost feed out of your hand. They're that tame, so we'll just see how that goes.
Well, it would seem as though there's no such thing as a redundant farm building in Canterbury. Nadine Porter turned one into a very successful thing. In fact, you could say she's tasting the sweet success.
Chocolate, the treat that makes life sweeter. And hidden in the country just on the outskirts of Ashburton is Canterbury's very own chocolate factory. No Oompa Loompas help make these sweet treats though. Bulrush Chocolates run by Nadine Porter and her husband, something she never dreamt of happening.
I never thought I would make chocolate in my wildest dreams. I was always the kid that was never allowed in the kitchen because I just was useless at baking or anything like that. I was always creative, but not necessarily a good cook.
The mother of three started the business back in 2007, experimenting with the idea of what chilies and chocolate would taste like together. Fast forward 7 years, the funky design chocolate is now being sold in New Zealand and Australia. And I popped along to find out a few tricks of the trade from Canterbury's very own chocolatier. Starting with the fancy art that coats the chocolates. Using white cacao butter, it's an edible ink developed by Nadine herself.
We add powdered colours that are food standard, so they're safe to eat. Yep. We heat them up and then we use paintbrushes and paint our moulds. So away you go, there's creative visual ups.
Then for the fun part, filling the painted moulds with delicious chocolate.
Chocolate's a messy business, trust me.
As if this couldn't get any sweeter, Along came the next step.
So we're filling this with mango, are we? Yeah, it's a mango fondant jelly we make.
Your own secret?
Yeah. They're written all over pieces of paper everywhere. Everyone and all the staff that come here always complain about that.
It's a special of Bulrush chocolate, most of them filled with New Zealand favourites. Hokey Pokey, Milo, Pavlova and rhubarb and kumara, just to name a few. While these were left to set, Nadine told me how she manages to juggle being a busy parent as well as a businesswoman.
Being a mum of 3 young children and running a business and hubby having an arable farm is it's a constant battle. It is very busy, and I often think about women in the 70s who advocated for us to be out of the home doing things, and so I remember going through high school being told that we would all have careers. It was never considered you'd be a full-time mum.
The well-known Whitakers and Cadbury started as a small family business and grew to be sold on supermarket shelves around New Zealand and the world.
Businesses such as this have been sold on or made bigger. They've lost something in the process. They've lost what made them unique. So it's really important for us to always be that handcrafted, artisan, passionate chocolate brand that we are. We love what we do, and all the staff that work with me, they're not staff, they're friends, family, just mothers, people like me, and that's really important as well.
But lucky the business isn't relying on me to help make the chocolate. Did I just break it?
But look, it would have been beautiful. It's very close. So I was just going to say, just go gentle, like this.
Oh, I've just ruined it.
That's all right.
Off it?
No. Not to me, but yeah. No. And some paint didn't come off there, but yeah, you've got the idea. Look, it'll be almost perfect on that side. Close.
Well, we'll just show that
go.
side. Half a high heel, beautifully made.
And you can take those away with you. Yeah, just careful you don't.
Destroy it. But while Bulrush remains within mid-Canterbury at the moment, only time will tell if that will change.
I'd like to see, obviously, sales grow throughout the country, but always retain some sort of base here in mid-Canterbury, because this is who we are.
Nadine may think she doesn't have it all, but she sure is close with these tasty treats.
Well, that's our high heels in the high country. In fact, it's the end of this series. Until next time, take care. I'm Rob Cope-Williams.